Hello out there to you. In this video, I'm going to talk about a simple supply and demand graph and how to interpret all this. Okay. So I've already plotted these numbers. There's our downward sloping demand curve. There's our upward sloping supply curve. So this is how I got this market here. The demand curve starts off at the point of where it hits the y-axis. So anything on the y-axis is always the price. Okay. And so that looks like it's going to be 35. I can zoom in and zoom out on this calculator and see where that is. Um, and then my supply curve starts out on 5. Okay, so that's that upward sloping line right there. Okay, so equilibrium is a concept where I don't have a shortage and I don't have a surplus. So that's going to happen right here where the two dots meet. And so it goes X, Y. So this would be X is the quantity, so 150 on the quantity. So that'd be the quantity at equilibrium, and then 20 is the price at equilibrium. So in English, for $20, we'll sell 150 units. There's no shortage, no surplus. Okay. Now, for whatever reason, let's say that the price in the market is a little bit higher. Let's say it's right here. So that's going to be a price of $25. The buyers don't want to buy as many units. Okay, so they're going to cut back from 150 to 100. Okay, so they're going to buy 25 units less because the price is $5 higher. The sellers, on the other hand, are going to want to sell 200 units when the price is 25. So a higher price is going to incentivize them to sell more units. So the difference between these two is the difference in quantity. So we have 100 more units supplied than purchased, and this means that we have a 100 unit surplus. Okay, 100 units too many. Now, as the price approaches equilibrium, we will lessen that surplus. Okay, so like if the price was right here, let's see what price that is by zooming in a little bit. Let's say that was, looks like 22.50, yeah. And I can actually draw on this. I could say it was y equals 22.5, and then that'll give me like a line. I can see where that is. Where does that hit right there? That would be 125 units purchased, and all the way over here, that would be 175 units sold. Okay, so right there. So it's a surplus of 50. Okay, so let's get rid of that line. And then down here, if I'm below equilibrium, then I have a higher quantity demanded than quantity supplied. In other words, the consumers want to buy more than the sellers want to sell. Okay, so here the price is 15. Okay, I got that. This is X and this is Y. So at $15, the buyers will want to buy 200, which is 50 units more, and the sellers will want to sell only 100 units. This leaves us with a shortage of 100 units. So if they raise the price, they will lessen the shortage, and eventually we can get back up here to equilibrium. Okay. Last question is how to do producer surplus, which is a later question. So in consumer surplus. So let's label our graph here. So I took snipping tool here, and this is our demand, and this is our supply. Let me write in black. And equilibrium price will be right here. So we'll call that P, maybe P star or something. Here's big P for price, big Q for quantity. Okay, so the consumer surplus is the area below the demand curve, but above the price. So it's going to be this big yellow triangle here. Drawn. Okay. And that is going to be our consumer surplus. So let's do that. The formula is just a linear triangle formula. So we're going to multiply one half by the difference between here and here. So the top of this triangle. And if I recall correctly, that was 35, right? Yeah, 35 right there. So this is 35. The difference between 20 and 35 is 15. We're going to multiply that by the number of units. So we follow this all the way over here. And this was 150 right here. Just going to multiply that by 150. I don't know what that answer is off the top of my head. Get a calculator here. It's 15 times 15 with an extra 0. Come on, calculator. All right, 15 times 150 times a half. So that would be 1,125. 1,125. Okay. Then down here, so that's the consumer surplus. And the consumer surplus, if you're curious, when it comes to units, it's in money units. Okay, that line didn't work out. Oh, I just deleted the yellow. That's okay. We can do yellow on the supply for the producer surplus. So this is the producer surplus. It's the area above the supply or above cost and below the price. So it's this big yellow area here. Whoops, without that part. So it's just this. I don't know. My cursor went over there. So this is going to be 1/2. And then we got here we have the same quantity, so we can use the same quantity there. We know it's going to 150. However, this starts off at 5, so this is, oh, it's actually the same. So it's 15. It doesn't go all the way to 0 because this part isn't part of the supply curve. So it's the same answer, 1,125. That's how you get the producer surplus. Okay. So theoretically, if the price were to go up, consumer surplus will fall, and producer surplus, well, we don't really know. We'd have to do the math, but potentially could go up or down depending on the elasticity. And then vice versa, if the price falls, we know that the consumer surplus will rise, and the producer surplus, or well, consumer surplus could rise depending on the quantity, and the producer surplus definitely will fall. Okay, so hopefully that clears up how to read this graph again one more time. Quantity is always on the x-axis, price is always on the y-axis.